A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's special passion episode, I'm going to give you guys a very, very special episode, which is Themba Zwane versus Teko Modise. So, because it is the international break and we currently have the World Cup qualifiers being contested, I've decided to go down memory lane and have a look at arguably one of the best, if not the best player within PSL football, and pit him up against currently the best player within the PSL and DStv Premiership. So it is Teko Modise versus Themba Zwane. Very excited to do this one, especially during this period, with regards to how well Themba Zwane has really been playing at Mamelodi Sundowns, and I think these are two of the most elite footballers within the PSL that we've seen in the past couple of years. Maybe, well, in my opinion, and in the generation that I'm from, and for the duration I've been watching the PSL, these, in my opinion, are two of the best players within the PSL generation. So we've got Teko Modise, we've got Themba Zwane. I will start with Teko Modise. So with regards then to Teko Modise, this is a player who's played for several clubs. He did start his journey at Ria Stars. From Ria Stars, he went on to City Pillars. From City Pillars, he went to Supersport United. From Supersport United, he then went on to Orlando Pirates and then Mamelodi Sundowns, and then retired at Cape Town City. With regards then to Themba Zwane was bought from a Vodacom League side. The league then was named the Vodacom League. He was playing for Vardos in Tembisa. He was bought from there, went straight to the PSL with Mamelodi Sundowns, and then had a loan stint at Mpumalanga Black Aces, and then returned to Mamelodi Sundowns. And the interesting thing about both players, which they share, is that they both never went to any recognized academy or development. These are two thoroughbred, pure, intrinsic South African playmakers who learned their trade and their skill set off the streets, So very, very, very talented footballers, I think two of the most elite footballers we've seen within the PSL generation. So when we then have a look at Teko Modise. So Teko Modise, when he started out his career, he did start out as a winger, so he'd either play on the left wing, on the right wing, but mostly it was on the left wing, where he made his name at Supersport and then got that big move to Orlando Pirates. I mean, he got to Orlando Pirates, he did so well for Orlando Pirates. So he'd normally start off the left, which is vertical zone one, always look to drift into the half space. And what I loved about Teko Modise at Orlando Pirates, he became a goal-scoring winger and a goal-scoring midfielder in a sense, because what we don't often get within South African football, we don't get a lot of playmakers who are able to score goals, which is also another thing that is a commonality between Teko Modise and Themba Zwane. However, I will go into that a lot later with regards to Themba Zwane, because it's all things Teko Modise right now. So Teko Modise really impressed me at Orlando Pirates, because he used to score so many goals for this Orlando Pirates side. So he'd dictate play and always look to come into the half space. Very influential for this Orlando Pirates side. It's just a pity that when he was at Orlando Pirates, they couldn't garner a lot of success, and they couldn't win trophies, when he was there, which is such a pity, because when you look at Orlando Pirates and Teko Modise at that time, they were playing some really good football, It was just unlucky that he couldn't win those trophies with the Orlando Pirates. And also, his form at Orlando Pirates, he was able to carry it into the national team where he did really well. At some point, he ended up captaining the national team, and he ended up wearing the captain's armband at some point in the Orlando Pirates side. Also, another interesting thing then is that he's been captain for several teams that he's played for, so which also showcase the leadership skills, because we know that a lot of the playmakers, are very much just focused on their game. They're not much leaders from that perspective. They're not the most, they're not the biggest when it comes to communication and leading the side. But Teko Modise was that. So he ticked all the boxes, from a qualitative perspective. And he's a player who really introduced me to PSL football, when he was coming up and doing really well from Supersport, going to Orlando Pirates. That's what attracted me to South African football, In fact, that's what attracted me to football. Before I knew any other football, it was South African football. It was Teko Modise, Donna, Tsulufelo, hey man, Navigator, Google Earth, like there's all the names, but most commonly known as the Navigator, the General, Teko Modise, And then he moved on to Mamelodi Sundowns, where we then saw him drop into the midfield, where he could play as a 10 and then started to play as an 8 as well, where he looked to control the game, So that also shows a different side to his game. It shows the versatility and how tactically and technically advanced he was, because it's not easy for a very skillful player and a skillful playmaker who was a goal-scoring playmaker as well to then go into the heart of midfield and play in deeper spaces, But he was able to do that and adjusted very well. That is where at Mamelodi Sundowns, where he went on to win so many trophies, and finally he got that success and he got those trophies. He then went on to Cape Town City, where he retired at Cape Town City. Even at Cape Town City, what was so beautiful to see from him. I remember a game for Cape Town City. I remember 2 games, but most commonly when they played against Amazulu. And his performance, I stand to be corrected, but I think it was at the Princess Makoko Stadium. But his performance on the day, he was just running the show in the heart of midfield, and he was able to just spray these passes, and he was just dictating, he was just running the show on the day, which was so beautiful to see from Teko Modise, and how he finished off his career, in true style and in the true form of such a classic player that he is, I love the fact that he bowed out very gracefully, playing some of the most beautiful, the most elegant, but most simple football, So those of us who got to see Teko Modise throughout his career, we saw different sides of his game, which was actually beautiful. And he came full circle because he started off as that tricky, very skillful winger who take players on, beat them and score. And then he ended it as a midfield maestro who was able to pull strings from deep and dictate play as well. So moving on then right along to Themba Zwane. So when we have a look at Themba Zwane then, he came from the Vodacom League side, which at that time was named Vardos, from Tembisa, and went straight into that Mamelodi star-studded side, and it was always going to be difficult coming into that star-studded side, especially when you had the likes of Surprise Muriri, you had the likes of Teko Modise, just to name a few players, who were playmakers at that time. So it was always going to be very difficult. There was Shongwe as well at that time. It was always going to be very difficult for him to break into that side. But the lovely thing then with him is that he persisted. He went out on loan to Mpumalanga Black Aces, and then he came back. And when he came back, that's when he started to mature. And what I love about him is that Themba Zwane, throughout the years, he's always refined each and every single skill set. When you have a look at his technical ability. So when you look at his passing, it's always been refined. It's become a lot more crisper through the years. He's been able then to play those pinpoint passes. When you look at how he penetrates the final third and he finishes, he's always been able to refine that, also became a goal-scoring talisman, very synonymous to Teko Modise, how I mentioned earlier on, He's always been a player that knows how to get the best out of himself as a footballer, and when you look at his technical skill set, he's always been able to harness each and every single ounce and percentage of what he has within his armory, you know, and that is very rare for a player who's never been through any formal development or any formal academy. You know, this is a player who is streetwise, who's street smart, and is such an intelligent footballer. You know, he knows how to manipulate the ball in the half spaces. You know, he's developed really well, and he's become, you know, so pivotal to this Mamelodi Sundowns side. As much as Mamelodi Sundowns have instituted a beautiful, well-refined system, which isn't based on a single individual, but at times when Themba Zwane is doing his thing and he's dancing and he's just skating on that pitch, it's almost as if he is the whole system, you know, and it's just so beautiful to watch. So Themba Zwane, over the years, has refined his game, has become such a pivotal player for Mamelodi Sundowns. He's won so many trophies, and definitely is one of the best players, you know, within the DStv Premiership, you know, if not the best player within the DStv Premiership, you know. And yeah, at the end of the day, when I have a look at these two quality players, you know, as much as it is Teko Modise versus Themba Zwane, but this episode was an episode of appreciation for these two elite footballers, you know, that I watched. One introduced me into football, into South African football, into PSL, and made me fall in love with the PSL. And the other, being Themba Zwane, was able then to take my love and passion of the game and take it to new heights because of how well they played, you know. So club affiliations to the side, emotions aside, these two have never played for my favorite team, but hey man, I really, really admire them, and they have been my two favorite players within the DStv Premiership and the PSL era. And I also do think that they do rank number 1 and number 2 within the PSL era with regards to an elite footballer. So thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. I thoroughly enjoyed this passion episode. You know, I think you guys can see it on my face. I love these guys, man. Themba Zwane. Teko Modise. Anyway, at home, do let me know, what do you guys make of this special episode? And do let me know, what do you think of Themba Zwane, the career that he's had, the great career that he's had with Mamelodi Sundowns, and Teko Modise, the great career that he's had, and his performances at various clubs. Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. Hey man, God bless South African football. God bless Teko Modise, and God bless Themba Zwane. Mshishi, the Navigator, the General. Wow, guys, signing out, gents.